back to another episode of Cue the Chat with Fionn Lynch. We've got a bumper episode this week. We're going to be talking about the Champion of Champions final won by Mark Williams. We have two emails, one from Brian McGovern and one from Lars Johansson. We're going to be talking about Mark King's ban from professional snooker for 5 years. We're going to be having a look at the history of the UK Championship, and we're also going to be predicting what's going to happen on Wednesday and Thursday for Judgement Day for the qualifiers. So, with that said, welcome into episode 7 of Cue the Chat. So first of all, how is everybody getting on? I have a little bit of a cold this week, so I hope that doesn't come through too much in my voice. Yeah, it's not great, but sure, look, what can you do? I've got my mug of tea here with me. Keep me lovely and hydrated. So, we are going to start off this week with the Champion of Champions final. It very much looked like it was going to be a Mark Williams domination. Probably, I was thinking maybe 10-1, 10-2, because in the opening 5 frames, he won all of them, like 5-0. He was halfway there before Zhao Yulong had even Zhao Gudong. Don't know why I said Zhao Yulong. Before Zhao Gudong had even won a frame, like he made it to 5-0. Then it looked like there was a real comeback on, because Mark Williams won the first 5 frames, and then Zhao Gudong won the last 4 frames before the break, the last 4 of the session. So, it went from looking like an absolute domination right back to game on. What am I trying to say? Oh yeah, Mark Williams outdid him in all of the stats. Like, he outscored him 696 points to 652. His average points per frame were 60.56. Zhao Gudong only 40.75. You're not winning matches with that kind of average. I know we're not. This isn't darts. We aren't looking at our averages to decide. But it's just. Zhao Gudong did have the highest break. So, at least that is something. But, it's just. Mark Williams outplayed him. Completely, utterly, simply, he was outplayed. You all know by now that I work on a Sunday. It's great. I get to miss all the snooker on a Sunday. I did get to see a little bit of it, to be fair. Probably a bit more than I usually do get to see. But again, I didn't see much of the final. I seem to see all of the the way my schedule works is I get to see Judge Trump demolish some poor player. I get that in the Champion of Champions everybody's a proven winner, but usually what I get to see is Judge Trump blast 4-0 through a top up, and then when it gets down to the real business end of the tournament, I don't really get to see much of it anymore, which is a little bit disappointing. But I don't mind all of this. We're going to be going all over the place today, so I may as well just go with it. I think that if there was commentary on the qualifiers, I kind of prefer the qualifiers. There's just, especially this week, there's a good atmosphere. Well, not a good atmosphere because there's nobody there, but it's comforting. I don't know what it is about it. It's just silence. It's just you watching two people playing. It's just with the commentary as well, and there's only one commentator, which sometimes is good, sometimes is bad. But it's kind of like you're just sitting there, and it's you and the commentator are the only two people watching the match because there's nobody there. It just feels like you're the only two people there. You're sitting there, you're watching it. It feels it's a bit it's a different kind of atmosphere That there's no doubt about that. It certainly is a different kind of atmosphere, but it's an atmosphere that I like. I'm after going off on such a tangent there, but I do very much like it. That's all that there really is to say about the Champion and Champions final. I mean, like, it has been a great tournament. We're gonna have a look now, just in a moment, at how my actual predictions did. But in terms of the final, that's all there is really to say. Mark Williams nearly fumbled the bag, really. 5-0 up, brought it back to 5-4, but from there, from, was it 5-4, Zhao Guodong only won 2 more frames, and Mark Williams won the Champion of Champions, 10 frames to 6. So we are just going to have now a quick look back at my predictions for each one of the groups, each one of the matches, and we're going to see how I did. The first match that I predicted was Mark Allen versus Igor Figueiredo. If you listened to last week's episode, you'll know that I got that one right because I've recorded it Monday evening. Mark Allen did beat Igor Figueiredo. That was by 4 frames to 2. Igor Figueiredo did put up a great fight. I'm not going to dwell on Group 1 too long because I gave most of my opinions on that on last week's episode. Then, again, Jack Jones won against Gary Wilson. I had Gary Wilson tipped for that one. But again, I had Mark Allen tipped to win the final. I had him tipped to beat Gary Wilson, but he still won. He beat Jack Jones by 6 frames to 4. Now we're going to move on to Tuesday, which was Group 3. Mark Williams versus Bayu Liu. I had Mark Williams tipped to beat Bayu Liu, who did play. Bayu Liu put up a great performance, let's be real. I didn't think that she was going to win a frame. I'm going to be honest. I thought it was going to be 4-0. But she did win a frame, and she played very well on the 12th of November, and she's playing very well this week. Again, I'm moving on to UK Championship qualifiers, because that's just what's in my head at the moment. Like, the Champion of Champions may as well have been 7 weeks ago in my head, because I'm focusing so much on the UK Championships. Like, I've watched so much of the qualifiers this week. But, again, going off topic, we're going to come back to it. We have a whole section on it if you want to chill out. Right. Mark Williams beat Bayu Liu. Karen Wilson then did beat Luca Bracel 4-1, the same scoreline. I did have Karen Wilson tipped to beat Luca Bracel. Now, most of you would have been thinking from that group, Karen Wilson is going to win. He's going to get out of the group. But I thought, no. Now, if you listened to last week's podcast, you'll remember me wondering why I didn't think that Karen Wilson was going to get out of the podcast, or out of the group, because I couldn't, when we got to recording, I couldn't remember why. But I'm so delighted because I got it right. Mark Williams made it out of the group. He won the whole thing. Let's not forget. I predicted him to get out of the group. Absolutely delighted. So far, we're 2 from 2 here, ladies and gentlemen. Things take a nosedive from here. Things do take a nosedive from here. Judd Trump, I had him tipped to beat Ding Junhui. I was completely correct. 4-0. I thought it might be a bit closer than that. But yeah, 4-0 to Judd Trump over Ding Junhui. Neil Robertson beat Ali Carter in a decider, 4 frames to 3. I had Ali Carter tipped to beat that one because Neil Robertson, although he did win the English Open, has been playing very well. By the time you've listened to this, I hope the match won't be over, but the match certainly will have started between him and Oliver Lyons this week at the UK Championship qualifiers. I'm recording this at 7 o'clock. It hasn't actually started yet, but I'm certainly going to be keeping a keen eye on that because I like both players. I didn't used to be Ollie Lyons' biggest fan, but recently he's been playing very well, and he's been nice to watch, and since the British Open, he's just, I don't know, he's just been really nice to watch. Didn't used to be his biggest fan, but now it is. It's a long-winded way of saying I didn't like him. I like him now. There we go. Trying to get my words out today is absolutely not working for me, which isn't great for a podcast, considering You can't see me. You're also not inside my head. You can't get what I'm trying to say out of my head for me. Swig of tea. There we are now. So maybe the tea will wake me up a bit. Anyway, Ali Carter beat Neil Robertson. Anyway, I had No, Ali Carter didn't beat Neil Robertson. Neil Robertson beat Ali Carter. And then in the group in the group final then, Neil Robertson beat Judd Trump 6 frames to 4. And the elation from Neil Robertson, if you haven't seen the ending of that match, just have a look. Go back. I'm sure it's still on ITVX. It's also on YouTube as far as I'm aware. Just go back and have a look at Neil Robertson's reaction. Because, oh my god, you'd sworn he won the World Championships. But it is a big scalp for him, because he's beaten the world number 1, by far the season's best player, when he's not on super duper amazing unreal form, So it was a big win for him, and he certainly celebrated. That's all I'll say. Now, moving on to Thursday. Very, very proud of this one. I tipped Zhao Guodong to beat Ronnie O'Sullivan. If you were listening to the preview podcast for the Champion of Champions final, you'd have heard me gloating about this one. But yeah, Zhao Guodong, I tipped him to beat Ronnie O'Sullivan. 3-0 up Ronnie O'Sullivan was. Lest we forget. With Zhao Guodong not even potting a ball, not scoring even a foul point. But Zhao Guodong, from 3-0 down, managed to come through and win 4 frames to 3. An absolutely unbelievable win for Zhao Guodong. Mark Selby, I had Sean Murphy tipped to win that match. It didn't go that way. I had Sean Murphy tipped to win the group, but he didn't even win a match there. It was Mark Selby versus Zhao Guodong, and Zhao Guodong made it out of the group. He won. He beat He beat Mark Selby 6 frames to 5 in a decider. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Champion of Champions. What a week it was in Bolton. Now, we're going to be moving on to emails. And this week we've had quite a number of emails. Well, we've had 2 emails. One from Brian McGovern and one from Lars Johansson. We're going to start with Brian McGovern just because his email is closely linked to the Champion of Champions. He says, "Hi Fionn, loving the podcast. I just listened to your latest podcast. I didn't know the Champion of Champions was on Premier Sport 1, which I have. That's only in Ireland, by the way. It's not on Premier Sports in the UK. Do they have the rights to the ITV tournaments going forward? As I have Sky, I also tune in on ITV4 as well. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Brian. Now, as far as I'm aware, I've seen, they've had the Champion of Champions certainly for the last couple of years. It seems to be very much them picking and choosing which ones they want to show, because they have the rights to the United Rugby Championship and one match of the Premier League, and in Ireland they have one match of the Premier League, one of the 3 o'clock kickoffs on a Saturday, and they also show a lot of La Liga as well, and those are really La Liga and Scottish football, and those are really their main sellers. That's what they mainly have on there. And the rugby and the soccer are both on international breaks. I think they're back this week. The soccer is. I don't think the rugby is, but they're all on international breaks anyway. So Premier Sport has nothing, and they've shown the Champion of Champions before. I think not last year, the year before. Whatever year the tournament was sponsored by Jewel Bits, they showed the Tour Championship. I think that was 2023 that they showed the Tour Championship. But yeah, it seems to very much be picking and choosing. I've never seen the British Open, I'm not sure about the Grand Prix and the Players' Championship. They might have been on there, but I've never seen them anyway. The only tournaments I've ever seen on there is the Tour Championship and the Champion of Champions. But you never know. They might have them again, which would make my life a whole lot easier trying to get the snooker rather than having to use VPNs to get to ITVX and all that crack. And I'm actually going to talk about that very quickly, because that is the most annoying thing about watching snooker from Ireland. It's the ITV tournaments. Like, the production is great. The production is absolutely amazing. Stop giving ITV the rights to snooker in Ireland. You can't watch ITV in Ireland. You have to, like, the channels aren't there. You have to go in and manually program them. And what I find, certainly where I'm living, is you manually program them for one tournament, and then you come back and it's like it's shifted, and there's so many. It's not like you're going to the TV and switching a little dial. You have to go in and there's like a DVS, a BC, D85, 281, 2485, all these different menus that you have to change, and you have to look it up, and then if you find an article that's outdated, then you have to find the latest article, because some of the other ones, the tuning doesn't work anymore because the tuning is moved and all that crap. It's the most annoying thing. So what I had to do was I had to go on ITVX. So I did that because I wanted to watch a while ago. I think it was the British Open that I did this. I wanted to watch. Oh, you're not in the UK, so you can't watch it. Great. Yeah, I'm not in the UK, even though you have the rights in my country. Anyway. Then I got a VPN, a free VPN, and it connected to the UK. That's fine. You have to download our app. Click here to download the app. So I click there. Yeah, fine. This app is not available in your country. Huh? It was so annoying. So then I couldn't do it on the Play Store because I have an Android Play Store. I couldn't do it on the Play Store, so I had to excuse me, I had to download this like dodgy looking app store off of Google. I've used it before, but it is pretty dodgy looking. Like, it's just literally just anybody can upload whatever app they want up there. Thankfully, somebody's uploaded ITVX onto there. So I downloaded it then. Then it was like, you are not in the UK anymore. What? My VPN says I'm in the UK. Huh? So then I was like, look, I pay for all the rest of the snooker. Why don't I just pay for this as well? So then I went on to ExpressVPN. I bought ExpressVPN, and that's been working fine for me. But man, it's just such a pain in the arse. Honest to God. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, so it's a long-winded way of saying it's good that it's on Premier Sports. If they keep it on Premier Sports, I will be very happy. But Brian, I'm afraid I don't think they will be. Right, a swig of tea. And we'll get into our next email from Lars Johansson. Now, Lars, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on your new employment. I was listening to, was it Dave Hendon's podcast Monday, which was yesterday, and he was talking to the owner and creator of Snooker.org, which I use all the time. I'm in fact going to be using it later on to see the matches for the UK Championship. For the life of me, I cannot remember the guy's name. Let me go onto Spotify and have a quick look, because I want to get the guy's name, because I want to personally thank him as well for all that he's done. 30 years he's been running that website. That's nearly double my life, which is absolutely mental. Hermit Ardalin. Now, I hope I pronounced that right, but Hermit Ardalin, thank you very much for what you've done for snooker. It's absolutely great, and it's absolutely fantastic that you have such a big snooker fan working with you, Lars Johansson. Lars, I'm sure you're going to do a great job. I was the UK Championship, I think, is your first tournament, so I might be having a look right now at scores that you've put in. But man, I'd just like to thank you very much for that, and good luck for the weeks and months ahead working for Snooker.org. You say, hey Fionn, I hope you're finding the Champion of Champions entertaining so far. I certainly have been. Currently watching Neil Robertson versus Judd Trump. It's 4-3 at the moment, getting edgy. Hard to call a winner, but I'll tip Robertson winning in a nervy pink ball decider. Now, I'm not sure if it was a pink ball decider, but you certainly tipped the right man. I'll tell you that much. You certainly tipped the right man. I'll go back to the results there for a second, see how close it was. No, it wasn't a decider anyway, but you certainly picked. Yeah, you picked the right player anyway, Neil Robertson. What a match that was, really. I really wish that I sat down and watched more of that. But what a match it was. And then tomorrow, the Lionheart versus the Magician. Exciting stuff. Yeah, Mark Selby won that game 4-2. Spoiler alert for both of those games, but like, I don't know why I said that. I've already reviewed them. Yeah, 4-2 to the Lionheart, Mark Selby. In response to you reading out my previous email about the Ronnie and Mink handshake, I want to make it clear that Ronnie did the only correct thing where we're shaking her hand. Well done, Ronnie. I was just flabbergasted that it happened. Anyways, moving on to more meaningful matters. No, you say that as if it was just a throwaway thing. No, I agree with you that he did the right thing. And yes, as was I. I was, once I saw it, I was surprised that he did it. But I was listening to the Snooker Hall podcast. I think you sent your question in there as well. I think that Dan might have gone a bit overboard. I understand. It's safe to say that Dan is not Ronnie O'Sullivan's biggest fan. Let's be honest. Dan kind of, I don't know. He was. I feel like if you'd sent that into Dave Hendon, I feel like he would have been on one side. Dan would have been on the other side in terms of like. Oh, what am I trying to say here? Dan was like very critical of Ronnie O'Sullivan. He was kind of siding with you the way that it was like, he wouldn't do this for anybody else, and he it was almost like happy that he did it, but like annoyed that he wouldn't do it for other people. I was more, I don't care what you do, but I feel like it's more of a mark of respect. It's like we're studying poetry in English class at the moment in school, and like I was looking at it like, oh, this represents this, all this crack. That's why that's kind of how it came to that. It's like the handshake represents the significance of it. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't care as long as when somebody goes for a handshake, the other one doesn't just box them in the face. I couldn't really give a damn. It's a bit. It's a mark of respect. I understand that, but like, it's like, it's whatever. The UK anyway, as you say, moving on to more meaningful matters. The UK Championship qualifiers are coming up. You fancy any of the women winning their first round? And what do you think about Xing Tong's chances to qualify? Now, I'm going to address that straight away. I didn't think that any of the women were going to win their first round matches. But I think, yeah, Bayulu against Scott Donaldson was taken off there. You'll probably know the result before I do. 5-3 to Scott Donaldson. I mean, Bayulu was looking pretty handy to during the week. She could have qualified. I don't think she will anymore with it being 5-3, but she was looking pretty handy to qualify. I won't lie to you. In terms of Xing Tong, straight away when I saw it, I was thinking qualifying. I was thinking he'd qualify because I've heard about what he's doing on the Q Tour. With your new job, you're probably going to be learning a lot more about the Q Tour over the next few weeks. But he's been doing excellently well on the Q Tour. I'm going to ask you a favour, my friend, if you're not doing enough stuff in the snooker world, but will you keep us informed on what's happening in the Q Tour? Because, I mean, look, you might have nothing to do with the Q Tour, and that's fair enough, working for snooker.org, But if you are doing anything to do with the Q Tour, will you keep us informed? Because I don't really know very much about the Q Tour, to be honest. I only really know a lot about the professional tour, and I'd like to hear about some upcoming players, some people who maybe we haven't heard of, or maybe some people who used to be pro, who are back in there trying to regain their pro status. How they're getting on. So I mean, look, you don't have to do it. But it would be nice if you could keep us informed. It would certainly be lovely. In terms of Xing Tong though, and his chances to qualify, I was thinking qualifying straight away. The way he's been playing this week, oh my god. I think I'm gonna put it out there. I think it would take Judd Trump to stop him this week. Like, he went from 2-0 down in his first match. I was thinking, oh no. 6-2. 6-2. 6 frames on the trot. Like, I think it'll take Judd Trump to stop him. Who is he playing against next? We'll have a sneak peek. He will be playing against either Matthew Selt or Aaron Hill. It's looking like it's going to be Matt Selt because it's 4-2. No, sorry. I was looking at the wrong player. Where is he? One sec. Oh, Xing Tong will be playing as Ricky Walden. Yeah, I think he's gonna beat Ricky Walden. I think it's gonna take a Judd Trump to stop him. Gonna be completely honest. I think he's playing the best snooker, definitely of anyone in the qualifiers, and I think that once he makes it back to that UK Championship, a place. Don't forget, he has been champion. I think he's going to be pretty unstoppable. I think that playing in this tournament alone will get him high enough up on the 1 year list, maybe, to regain his tour card. You go on. He'd have to beat Sonny Akani first, then Jian Jun, both of which he's done, followed by Noppon Sankam, again, he's done it, and lastly Ricky Walden. Tough. I agree with you that is very tough, but I think that Noppon Sankam, I love Ricky Walden to bits, man. I love watching him play, but I think that Noppon Sankam was the hardest player that he'd have to beat, and he won 6 frames on the trot against Noppon. So I think that he's going to make it through, and as I say, I think he's going to make it very far indeed. He goes on. Lars goes on to say, if he makes it through that, who knows how far he can go in York? Exactly, Lars. He could go very far. Keep up the good work with the podcast. Looking forward to hearing you on another pod in the future. Thank you very much. I hope you're after listening to what I just said there, because what am I trying to say? Because you're in it. Is essentially what I'm trying to say. But yeah, those were our 2 emails. Thank you very much to Lars and to Brian McGovern. Thank you very much. If you want to send in any more correspondence, you can email us, cuethechat@gmail.com. That's cuethechat@gmail.com. You can message us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm not sure if you can message the TikTok, actually. So I tried to send something to the TikTok off my personal account to repost. And I don't think you can actually DM us on TikTok. I'll try and get the settings changed. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and I'm missing something surely. Oh yes. You can also comment on YouTube or on Spotify. We had a poll last week on the Champion of Champions preview. I'm gonna be honest, I was the only one who voted in it. So if you want to go and vote, I'm gonna have some sort of another poll that I'm gonna come up with while the podcast is uploading. You can enter that on Spotify. I was correct with what I put for the poll, but which was, who do you think is going to win? I put Mark Williams, but yeah, you can email us, you can DM us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and hopefully TikTok if I remember to change the settings. So yeah, we are going to move on. As I'm sure some of you know, I'd say a lot of you know, Mark King was suspended, I think it was about 2 years ago, from the professional tour for irregular betting patterns. Now, during the week, Mark King was suspended. On the 15th of November, he was suspended. The WPBSA posted a statement here, and I'm going to read out a bit of it. I'm not going to read out all of it, but the first paragraph in bold. The Independent Disciplinary Committee has delivered its decision on the case of the WPBSA and Mark King. He has been found guilty on one count of match fixing and one count of providing inside information on that match. He has been suspended from the sport for 5 years and to pay £68,299.50 in costs. So I mean, it's a similar situation to Stephen Lee. In 5 years, he'll be able to come back. Like, Stephen Lee can come back right now if he wants to. But they have to pay so much in legal fees. Like, where's Mark King getting 69 grand from? Let's be real. Like, it realistically, I think it's the end of the road for Mark King. But the match in question was a morning match. I actually remember watching it. It was a morning match in, was it Belfast? No, it wasn't. It was it was the opening match in Llandudno in Wales. It was a morning match. I remember I got up and I watched it at 10 a.m. It's just mental. Like, if you want to have a look at some of the shots that he played, go over to the Cue the Chat pod Twitter. I reposted the day that it happened. I reposted some of the shots that he played. If you're gonna try and miss shots, at least try and get close. Like, some of them are absolutely miles off, and then he'd like pretend as if he's playing the worst snooker in the world. Like, no professional player is missing so many shots by that distance. It's a bit like I was watching, was it a Premier League, whatever competition used to be on Sky Sports, when Stephen Lee was convicted, like, playing shots that, how in God's name are you playing them? Like, I'd be playing better shots than that, and I can barely hold the cue. Like, my elbow is nearly at a 90-degree angle to my hip. Like, that's the way I hold the cue. Like, the elbow isn't tucked in any way, and I'd be able to play much better shots than some of these. Like, there was also, after an independent legal advice, the WPBSA decided that Mark King had a case to answer for fixing the outcome of the Perry match, which is the one in Llandudno, and his match against John Higgins, played on the 13th of December 2022. That match, I'm just going to have a look at the calendar. That was the 13th of December. That would have been in the English Open. That would have been a first round match there as well, I'd say. I didn't realise that they were also having a look at that match. I mean, it's just crazy. I'll read you out the charges. The disciplinary committee finds, as set out in its liability decision and its decision on sanction, are that in relation to the Joe Perry match only, Mark King acted in breach of Part 2, Rule 2.1.2.1 and Rule 2.2 of the WPBSA regulations as alleged in Charge 3. So Charge 3 is that between the 1st of January 2023 and the 14th of February 2023, in breach of Part 2, Rule 2.1.2.1 and Rule 2.2 of the WPBSA regulations, you fixed or contrived or were party to an effort to fix or contrive the result or score of the Joe Perry match in Llandudno, and acted in breach of Part 2, Rule 2.1.3.1 of the WPBSA regulations as alleged in Charge 4, which is that between about January 2023 and the 14th of February 2023, in breach of Part 2, Rule 2.1.3.1 of the WPBSA regulations, you provided information for I don't know what that is. To be, it's obviously some sort. It must be some sort of a person who put on the bet for him, to be used for that betting purpose to another person or persons, and that information included the fact that you would contrive the score and or outcome of the Joe Perry match in Clondudno. The two charges relating to his match with John Higgins in the English Open were dismissed. But I mean, it's just mental. Why are you entering a competitive sport to cheat? I don't get it. How are you working your whole life to become a professional snooker player, being on the tour for years and years and years and years, and then just throwing it away for a few quid in fucking Paddy Power? Like, what are you on by? Like, I just don't get it. Like, there's so many players who are trying to become professional players. They've been working their whole lives. They're practicing, leaving school to go and practice every single day. They're working. They're working hard, man. They're working hard, and then they see fuckers like this guy, who are just like, sure, like, will you give me 50 quid if I lose this match? Like, what's going on? What's going on? It's gonna be more than 50 quid, by the way. I know that, but like, what's going on? Like, you're some bastard if you're doing that. Like, I don't. It's one thing what Xiao Xingtong did. He knew that it was going on, but he didn't report it. That's one issue. But it's a completely different thing to actually throwing a match to win a few quid in the betting. Like, it just makes no sense. Like, why? What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Marking, like, I just don't understand you, man. Like, some of the players, the Chinese players, I don't think they should be coming back. Nobody who's thrown a match on purpose, who isn't trying their best on purpose to make a few quid, I think you shouldn't be coming back to snooker. Like, there's different things like what Xiao Xingtong did, where he like, if you knew, if all of your friends were doing something that, like, you weren't meant to be doing, but you didn't do it, but you didn't report it. Like, I don't think that's worthy of it's worthy of some form of punishment, but nothing too severe. Like, I think he should come back. But then the guys who, like, were running reigns with people were like, "Oh, will you throw this match, and we'll give you we'll give you a bit of money. You will. Oh, good man." Making money that way, you're just a bollocks. You're just a bollocks. Anyway, Mark King, so long. We won't miss you. Bye-bye. Now we're gonna move on to something a little bit happier, and that is the UK Championship. Now, this year the UK Championship is being sponsored by Victorian Plumbing as their main title sponsor, and also LPQs and All British Casinos. Now, I just added those in there because LPQs and All British Casinos have never sponsored any kind of a tournament before. So, welcome to snooker. I don't think Victorian Plumbing have done either, but yeah, the Victorian Plumbing UK Championship is going to be what it's called this year. It starts this Saturday and it's going to run for 9 days. It's a 9-day event. Ronnie O'Sullivan is the defending champion. He beat Ding Junhui last year. 10 frames to 7, Ronnie O'Sullivan won. The total prize money for the event will be £1,205,000. So, quite a lot of money at stake. The winner of the event is going to win £250,000, which is nothing to be sniffed at. Some of the players Yeah, it's a great opportunity to win a bit of money for all the players. Don't forget that all of the qualifiers are gonna win their prize money. Their prize money is gonna be ranking points if they lose their opening match in the Barbican, whereas the seeds won't, because the seeds they haven't won a match at the UK Championship, so they won't get any ranking points, but they will get their prize money. Whereas all of the qualifiers will have won at least 2 matches, so they will get their ranking points if they lose first round at the Barbican. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be 16 seeds, and they are going to each play one of the 16 qualifiers. All the matches are going to be best of 11 until the final, which is going to be a best of 19. And you can watch it on the BBC, you can watch it on Eurosport and Discovery Plus. Now, just a little bit of a history of the UK Championship. It used to be open to British residents and British passport holders. So, explains why Patsy Fagan was the first winner, because he was born in Dublin, he's Irish, but he was obviously living in the UK at the time. Patsy Fagan beat Doug Mountjoy 12-9 in 1997, the same year that we went to the Crucible for the first time. He beat him 12-9. He became the first ever winner. And the tournament became open to all professionals, again ranking status in 1984, and to this day is the second most prestigious ranking event. Now we're going to move on to Judgment Day predictions. Now, I'm recording this just as the final session of the third round is taking place. So there's a lot more than I would like. A good few either-ors. In a lot of these, there's going to be 3 players who could get through. So the first one, Jack Jones against Fan Jingyi. My prediction for that, I'm going to say, I'm not going to dwell on these too long because it's going to be a 17-hour podcast. Jack Jones loses 6-5. I think Fan Jingyi is going to make it through. On to the next one. Elliot Slesser versus Stephen Maguire. Just before I do that prediction, Stephen Maguire this week became the 3rd ever player to make it to a century of centuries at the UK Championship. I can't remember the 2 people in the... One of them was Ronnie O'Sullivan, obviously. Who was the other person? Oh yeah, here we go. Stephen Hendry, of course. So the Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan is on 183 centuries at the UK Championship. Stephen Hendry's on 104, and this week Stephen Maguire became the 3rd person. He is on 100 centuries in the UK Championship. I think he beats Elliot Slesser 6-4. Yeah. I'm going to go 6-4. I'm a big fan of Stephen Maguire, and I hope he gets through. And yeah, 6-4. Stuart Bingham is going to be playing against Jamie Robertson. Stuart makes it through. Like, what a stacked lineup of qualifiers we've already gotten. We haven't seen some of the big hitters. Stuart Bingham wins that one 6-5. 6-5. Jamie Robertson is a great player, and on his day, he can beat absolutely anyone, as can anybody really on the tour. But Jimmy Robertson especially, when he plays well, he can really, really play. So I think that Jimmy Robertson beats Stuart... No, I think Stuart Bingham beats Jimmy Robertson 6-5. But I think that if Jimmy Robertson plays very well, it could be him, but I'm going to pick Stuart Bingham. Now, Jackson Page is going to be playing either Hossein Vafai or Ma Hailong. So Hossein Vafai, I think he's winning that one 6-2. I think he's going to win that one 6-2. And that's going to be an absolutely cracking match between himself and Jackson Page. But I think that Hossein's going to win that one as well. But I think it is going to be tight. I'm not going to do a score prediction for that one because that one will be awfully tight. Now, The evening session is going to be Jack Lazowski against Scott Donaldson or Bayulu. It looks like Scott Donaldson's going to win that one, so I'm going to assume that he's going to be playing against Jack Lazowski, and Jack Lazowski's winning that one 6-3. I think 6-3. Ryan Day against Sanderson Lamb. I think Ryan Day again should be winning that one. Don't think it's going to be as handy as it looks on paper, because on paper it's the world number 28 playing the world number 60. I think that one could go close again. Yeah, I think 6-4 is fair. David Lilley is going to be playing against Wu Yiza. Wu Yiza, I think, should be winning that one 6-2. David Lilley certainly past the prime of his career, and Wu Yiza certainly coming into the prime of his. So yeah, 6-3, 6-2 I think is fair. Then Wang Yucheng has made it all the way to Judgement Day. The man from Hong Kong, we were talking about him a couple of weeks ago after beating Neil Robertson. He's playing Barry Hawkins. Barry Hawkins I'm a big fan of. I hope he gets through. 6-3. I'm going to call it 6-3. Now we're moving on to Thursday. Excuse me, I'm just going through these pretty rapid because there's enough podcasts for you to be listening to already. Lei Pei Fan is going to be playing against Ben Wollaston or Joe Perry. Now, I think it's Joe Perry's... It should be Joe Perry winning that one. I think the match really is between Perry and Wollaston. I think whoever wins that will be going through to the Barbican. Joe Perry would be my preferred, but I think that it's either going to be Wollaston or Perry, and I think they're going to beat Lei Pei Fan. I'm going to tip Perry, and I certainly hope it is him. Now, Zhao Yulong is going to be playing against Matt Selt or Aaron Hill. We all know by now, big fan of Aaron Hill. I hope he wins, but it's not looking good for him. He's 4-2 down. That match got taken off. That match has been going on and on and on and on. So yeah, Matt Selt, I think, is going to win that game. And I mean, him or Zhou Yulong, then going to say Zhou Yulong. Zhou Yulong 6-5. Ricky Walden playing against Zhao Xingtong. Yeah, I think Zhao Xingtong, I've said it a couple of times in the podcast, I think he's going to go very, very far this week. Yeah, Zhao Xingtong 6-2. 6-2. I'm calling 6-2. He's been playing very well. I think he's had a couple of 6-2s. I might be wrong there, but he seems to like to lose the first couple of frames and make us doubt him, and then just rattle off frames after frame after frame. So yeah, 6-2 I think there. Julian Leclerc against David Gilbert. I'm a big fan of Julian Leclerc. I like David Gilbert as well. Dave Gilbert to lose. 6-5. Yeah. I think Julian Leclerc is going to make it through to the UK Championship. 6-5 there. And now, excuse me, the evening session then for Judgement Day. Most of the matches are at 4 to pick from. So we've got Milkins or Robert Milkins or Ross Muir against Jusa or Chris Totten. Milkins should be getting through here. I'm not going to give a score prediction because there's so many different players. But Robert Milkins, I think, should be getting through. Pang Junju will be playing against Stan Moody. What a game that is. Pang Junju or Stan Moody. What a game that is. You'll be seeing that. Probably know the score by the time you're listening to the podcast. And Anthony McGill versus Hei Chang. McGill should be winning that one. And Anthony McGill against Pang Junzu, I think. And I think Pang Junzu gets through in that one. Now, Lu Hao Chan versus Lu Hong Yu. I keep saying these wrong. Lu Hao Chan or Lu Hong Yu against Michael Holt. I think Lu Hao Chan wins that one. And I think he beats Michael Holt. Since there's only 3 players there, I'll give a score prediction 6-3. 6-3. And then Martin O'Donnell or Matthew Stevens will be playing against Neil Robertson or Oliver Lyons. I think Neil Robertson is going to win that match. And I think he's going to beat whoever comes through there. Neil Robertson against Matthew Stevens would be unreal to watch at the end of Judgment Day. And yeah, I just think that would be pretty good. Now I've gotten through our bumper, it's turning into a bumper episode really. We've gotten through everything on my list, so I can't think of anything else other than to say thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, rate, review. You can send emails in. You can interact with our polls. What else can you do? You can share. We like a share. What you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok. We post there almost daily now. No, we do post there daily, really, with different clips from the podcast. You can also email us, cuethechat@gmail.com. That's cuethechat@gmail.com. Hope you enjoyed Judgment Day. I should be back before the start of the UK Championship just to preview some of the matches. Once the draw is done, I should be back that day. I think the draw is being on Thursday, so I'll be back Thursday or Friday with what I think is going to happen there. Adios, see you later, sayonara, goodbye.